Create a safe assignment. Creating a safe assignment is very similar to creating a regular assignment. So again, we're going to want to look to be inside of a content area, and that could be content, that could be an assignment if you want to make a special area. In this case, we're just going to go ahead and go into assignments, or go into content and go into a learning module. Before we were using the example learning module, we'll do that again here. So inside of the example learning module, we're going to create and deploy a safe assignment. To do that, just the same as with assignments, we're going to go up to Assessment and look for the proper option. If we were doing a regular assignment, this is what we would select, but here we're looking to do a safe assignment. So we're going to move down to Safe Assignment and select that option. Now inside of here, this is a little bit more streamlined than the assignment process, but a few less options. So here we could call this, we're going to go ahead and give it a name inside of here, and there we go. So how many points is this going to be worth? Well, we'll make this out of 20, but it could be out of whatever you would like. And then we want to make sure that we configure a due date. So once again, students can submit this after the due date, and it will be marked as late. So it doesn't disappear on them. They can still submit it, and it's your option as to whether or not you would want to grade it or award less points or something like that. But configuring this due date option is critical. If you just put the due date in the instructions, the system does not have a due date, and it won't be able to mark anything as late for you. So you should really leverage the system, take advantage of the due date. You can put your instructions here, and whatever you'd want the students to see. That's where you would put it, right inside of this instruction box. Next, you can come down here and you can make the assessment available or unavailable. So can students see this or not see this? If you say no, it is truly hidden from the students. If you say yes, they can see it and they can take it. So it's critical to make sure that you have that yes on there if you want students to be able to do this. If you want to track the number of views, so this is just how many students looked at this item inside of here, you can go ahead and toggle that on. Next, if you want this to be visible only from a certain time frame, that sandwich of visibility, you want the display after and the display until date. So if you don't want it even to be visible to the students until a certain time, you'd configure that in the display after. And if you want it to disappear after a given time, that's where you want the display until. In this case, I'm going to go ahead and deselect both of those. Next, let's look at draft. Drafts are pretty unique. So what a draft allows a student to do is submit to the database without it being stored inside of the database. So this reduces the chance of, let's say if you have them do multiple drafts, that later on the final, if you don't have drafts selected, you're going to get a plagiarism match with previous drafts that they have submitted because, well, it's inside of the system. So it's going to look at their final and say, oh, this has been submitted before, and produce potentially some false results. So if you are having students do drafts and versions, draft would certainly be an option that you'd want to look into. Urgent checking is another option that you would want to look into. Urgent checking forces the system to process these a little bit faster, but we want to be very responsible in how we use this. With urgent checking turned on, it should be maybe a 15-minute turnaround, but of course if we mark everything as urgent, everything goes at the same priority and it slows the entire system down. Typically for non-urgent it should be between 15 and 90 minutes, but of course all of this varies. So if there's really not a rush on getting this turned around immediately, urgent checking should not be selected. Next, let's look at Student Viewable. So Student Viewable, if this is selected, it allows the student to see that similarity report, the plagiarism report if you will. So this is a great tool for having them be able to see what the system is saying is matching, where they need to cite. So if we're using this as a learning tool as opposed to I gotcha tool, the student viewable is definitely an option that you're going to want to select so that they can see their own report. They can't see anyone else's, they can't see other students in the course, but they can see their own. So it's a great learning tool. Next, we can look at an optional announcement if we want to have this also posted as an announcement inside of the course. And when we're all done, we can go ahead and say submit. And there we go. Now we have a safe assignment inside of the course, we can see that it has a different marking so that it appears different to differentiate itself from a regular assignment, and now it's ready to go.